Thank you, DJ. That was tremendous. Really, thank you, man. I could not have done it better myself. So yeah, first off, just thank a lot of people to thank. I suppose God and Jesus, my mom, my father who's passed, but I'm sure he'd be surprised I'm writing poetry and up here doing this. But he was an inspiration. He was a literary buff himself. He taught English at a community college, and though we have opposite tastes in literature, he likes Tolstoy. I think Tolstoy's garbage. Like Dostoevsky, he didn't understand Dostoevsky. He loved Frost. He hated Eliot. I mean, I love Frost too, but Eliot's my boy. He's like, how can you read that crap? I'm like, I don't know. So, but I thank him for my love of literature, as well as my professor I've had here, Terry, for your support, especially in this crazy time. My peers in the cohort, DJ, Matt, Courtney, everyone else out there in TV land. Thank y'all for everything. It's been a joy and a grounding point in an otherwise crazy time of existence, both for, I think, us, the country, the academy as a whole, and certainly my personal life as well. So, without much further ado, I suppose I'll get into the poetry, and we'll deal primarily, if not exclusively, with the goddess tonight. So yeah, no military poems tonight. All right. The first poem's called "The Goddess Converses with a Passing Locomotive." Locomotive, set at us like a dead god. We've been dying down the track. Oh, strange God, not reviving husks of shucked corn, stillborn on cobs in Missouri fields, where buried effigies and pedigrees remind us expect a resurrection. We dream you, like the number 16 engine, might just be slow in arriving. That somewhere, you still out there, chugging down the river runner line, down to Kansas City. Dying like dust devils, kipping up muck and the shit that gets stuck, shining with sweat. Oil sheens become a mud pie, and our marshmallow eyes and smiles slide down your face and drop into rich earth. Dismemberment, the name given to coordinates we do not possess, the place where infinite excess touches absolute lack. Hear the heart-hungry whistle, hierophant of cabooses who will come to pass by only in the latter and last days. Conductor, paid spokesperson and prophet, we remember your lumbering voice, flooding like an incandescent light, a soft white pouring from fixtures, squeezing itself between your door hinges and dining cars, until, like a luminous moth, a cocoon question that splits shell and emerges as statement, all aboard who's coming aboard. I don't think, for example, I'm out of my mind, because you see the Missouri runs north and south. So you see, we're either going north or south. My brother Short, he liked his train rides. He'd tell me everything. He'd tell me this train goes straight on through to St. Louis. Just follow the old Missouri, where dismemberment is a mud pie in June. It feels like drying, cracking mud, just like the tracks that cross the entirety of you. You see, I never rode the train before. I only got close to that startling metal body that once. Then, I watched the stars change. The stars are a bridge over water. Crossing the Missouri, I'm a bridge, crossing the water of Missouri. Do you see that little town there? With houses scattered everywhere? There they have tractors that they don't even use. The second poem is called "The Goddess Sees Herself in a Reflection," sees her reflection in a wash basin, I suppose. All right. Wormwood made her moon shine. The good book lied. The last days came first, came in the fertile years. Each one was a breast. Her lips made words to make a new nation full of old country dirt before the weather was on her body. Burning like a broad lawn, her hair drawn like flames, her mother's screams, once wood, are now dust and oranges. She notes how limbs break mid-flow, like a misstep, like a shifting line, whitening even the fullest fires. Her arm is, just as night is, silence. Dark acres and white clover are a gesture toward the curve of her bended knee. Next one's called "The Goddess's Night on the Town." Some of the poems are ironically titled. So you know. To the goddess, the night swings here. Work has fallen behind scars. Her mask is the world, so she is sober. So she dares to scour the sense, to be bewitched, to be the nay planting of okra and the sowing of woe beneath their rows. and she grieves the heaving of seeds, and the mounds of mud stitched with seams of laced hair, the banks beat down and latticed with a full moon. So this next poem is called The Goddess Speaks from the Pumping Station at West Bank. Some clarity is needed, I found out in the title. West Bank refers to the portion of geography in New Orleans near Algiers Point, where the levees failed and the pumping station overflowed during Hurricane Katrina. Does not refer to the conflict or the contested piece of territory in what used to be the Kingdom of Jordan's territory, which is now Israel and Palestine. So the goddess is not speaking from Arafat or Abbas's or Netanyahu's garden. She's in New Orleans at Algiers Point. All right. Hence the story. But yeah. All right. Those are not trash pandas mandicating mashed taters. Those are not porcupines humming 12-bar blues, rising on hind legs and carrying lunchboxes to Baton Rouge textile mills. Those are not blue jay shrieks or chicks dying in robbed nests. Those are the ghosts ambling to the pumping station at West Bank. Why so sullen, Mr. Senator? Have you flogged too few men with regulatory law, your ugly mug? Have you ruined too few Geechee women, Your Honor? We all saw her at your town hall, the single mother, and when you saw her, you couldn't understand the rationale. Your fingers, they twitched for the lash, for the gavel. So in your rebuttal on 60 Minutes, you say, agrarians, day laborers, what filled you? Rage and red clay? You tin knockers knocking indignantly with your thin bones. Just grow fatter until your death. Your conclusion is the same. Bones. Dear sir or madame, we know you, like us, would lust to show you power over the free thinkers, the anarchists, the Bob Dylans, the David Mammoths. But dear sir or madame, it has become difficult to show it now. High Priestess Bader Ginsburg, you're tired of pumping iron. The black robe, the yoga pants, the carbon-free air is still cold. What are you thinking by the pumping house station among the quiet, suture-mouthed shamans? Army Corps of Engineer is tireless steel, is picks tapping new veins. Cypress groves all moss-covered, is exhausted levees and dikes. Cypress groves now dry. Lift the same gaslights held over your grandmother's flickering moments. The cypress now has died. Chugga-chugga clink-clank, a coal-fired engine, a ringing of chains, still sounding chugga-choo-choo clink-clank, the iron spikes, the timber track, laid from San Fran to Roanoke, and here and there, gangs still in chains, still talk. You answer in bills and motions, chains. Policies lived as chains. Do we chew our black bread rightly or wrongly? Do we chew our white bread better than you? Answers come at night. White partisans, mute librarians, dying before us, such as we are. Redacted, never for us, such as we are. Taxed, represented, such as we are. We are dying for others. Now back in her marshy delta groves, the goddess hears breathing alongside her. She places a left hand on a shuddering shoulder. Langhorne Clemens, hiding from his afterlife, hiding from long ago, from sailing that little barge over where the pumping station now stands at West Bank. His teeth still set on edge by gamblers, by bitter tobacco. The goddess saw no faith in the lamps of his eyes, but that which dies when cicadas or woe dip that Mississippi, that world in dusk. So her eye became again an eye, chastising him at the threshold of sunrise. She bid him dissipate, bid him light your corncob pipe, your 12 chapters, remand them to the custody of the Delta. His response? Only his impotent sprinkling, his ash. When his smoke had cleared, the goddess looked into that dry dust, the 2-track distance, and she didn't see the South, that port and ancient prison, that longing for liberty, for scope, that began in that moment when Sherman, with a brassy sleeve of chevrons, ornate stitching in filigree, wiped the tears from the cheek of a slave/sharecropper and looked to the east, set his jaw, dropped a hand to his side, and said, burn it all. Now, the final poem I'll read is not a goddess poem, though it's sort of that tone. It's for a dear friend who passed away this previous year named Greg Gaius, a poet, philosopher, a theologian, and one of the best human beings I've ever known. He's a great guy. He had terminal brain cancer and lasted about 9 months longer than they gave him. They gave him 2 weeks initially. And during that time, he had part of his brain removed and started having memories after the surgery about when he was like 4 and 5 years old, like vivid memories. It was crazy. And so he wrote about those somewhat, but he has a collection of poetry I recommend to everyone called Praise Music from Guernica Press. That's tremendous. So this is for him, for Greg Gaius. It's called The Alpha and the Omega. Aristotle says that prime matter is whatever already was and was always already, which I'll remind you was the nearest thing ancient Greeks had to grit. It conformed to whatever they ladled over it. I hear it still served in New Orleans with a cream gravy, never that tomatoey shit. Here, in the Middle Pass, we always bitch at weathermen, like false Elijahs. We, on our woo-easy way and our non-ado acts, the drinking, the driving to Houston, lay waste the sagebrush and the sand, hump the dunes in Chinese APCs, which break down and which, as the Buddha says, mechanics both fix and do not fix. Lord, make of our lives an ordered accounting, an unbalanced checkbook, people and gratitude, what is left to us after us, not supplication, merely being tidy. We stayed in bed until dawn, the sun maintaining its orbit as long as could be expected, ultimately confirming the status is still quo. There remains providence in each fallen sparrow. Even if it ain't fitting to come now, it's still fitting to come. Thank you.